Shein, 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 Shein. When I was 2 years old, I could walk for the very first time, and I remember finding a trail of candy on the street, and so I followed it for around 3 hours until it finally led me to the front door of an AliExpress factory in China. I'm just kidding, but the sad truth is that some kids spend their entire childhood working in a sweatshop for 12 hours a day only to get paid pennies. And although there are no sweatshops in Australia, there is one sweatshop in Australia, I've always wanted to see what actually happens inside of them. Inside Shein's Factory Village by Cynthia Lin.
This is a video about Shein's supply chain that has never been shown on YouTube. I am at a village where local people call Shein Village because here are where hundreds of Shein's manufacturers are located. Today, my brother and I are going to go inside this village and hopefully to capture some footage of Shein's extensive supply chain. Back in 2022, Shein was questioned about its labor violation in its supply chain here in China. Shein then pledged $15 million over 3 to 4 years to upgrade its supply chain, aimed to ensure ethical practice.
Wait, so they publicly admitted that they were doing unethical practice beforehand, so now they have to pledge $15 million to increase the ethicality of the supply chain? Okay, so I think I need a little bit of a refresher as to how Shein actually works. So I'm pretty sure Shein is just a marketplace, I think. So I don't think Shein, like the actual brand, sells everything. I'm pretty sure there are different sort of like brands on Shein that sell their own clothes. For example, let's just click on this random sweater. So this probably comes from not Shein itself, but Shein is the marketplace. So this probably comes from another like random one of these shops over here. And then each of these shops have their own sort of products that they sort of sell on Shein, the marketplace. I think that's how it works.
Shein then pledged $15 million over 3 to 4 years to upgrade its supply chain, aimed to ensure ethical practice and improve the welfare of workers. Despite these efforts, Shein continues to be questioned over labor practices.
Wait, a 75-hour work week? So if you're working like 5 days a week, then that means you're working 15 hours a day. Wait, 15 hours a day. That means you have like how many hours? You have like 9 hours available for sleeping. So you basically wake up, work for 15 hours straight, and then you go to sleep for 8 hours, and then it's back to work. So it's just a continuous cycle. And then at least you get weekends off, maybe? Shein reveals child labor cases at suppliers. I mean, is this really that big of a surprise?
About 2 years has passed. Let's see how Shein is doing with this commitment.
Okay, so we're trying to see more ethical practices, okay? So it should be more ethical now. I hope it's more ethical.
This village is called Nancun, located in Panyu District, Guangzhou, a city in southern China and home to Shein's headquarters. It has been reported that there are more than 500 large and small manufacturers in the village working for Shein. I do not work for Shein and I'm not a journalist. I'm just a YouTuber who happened to live around this area. And I'm curious to see if labor violations still exist, and if so, why?
Wait, she lives around this area and she's gonna post this video. She posted this video to YouTube already. Isn't that like a little bit dangerous? Because what if the Chinese government goes and like tries to kidnap her and like hold her hostage? Or someone from like Shein because they're just not happy with the way that she's sort of exposing them. When was the last time she posted? Okay, this was her last video. Wait, 1 month ago, last seen. Okay, this is extremely concerning and very suspicious at the same time. Has something happened to her? This is so sauce.
These 500 manufacturers form a highly responsive supply chain that meets all of Shein's need for its on-demand small batch production model. From design and fabric sourcing through production and packaging, the entire process can take as little as a few hours. Shein has been widely criticized for poor working conditions, excessive hours, and low wages. Today, I want to explore this issue further. Walking through the village, we could see lots of hiring information. I spotted a job board packed with openings in garment production, with people regularly scanning it for full-time or contract roles.
Damn.
We met a worker in the industry who shared insights about the pay rates for some of the hiring positions.
他是这样子的，你看那些计件的，他把工资都写得很高，但是包月的呢，他敢不敢写这么高的？包月的他就不敢写这么高了。
他计件的话，他是多少钱一件？
这个不一定的，计件的要看衣服那个。
看衣服。他有那个底薪吗？
没有，
都没有底薪啊。
像那个你看纸匠、车板，还有那个杂工，这些都是包月的。他1万到1万3，基本工资可能就是1万。7000到8500的话，我估计就是7000。
Wait, so they don't do like any sort of salary. So it's all based on how many clothes you can sew per hour, or like how quickly you can sew the clothes. So let's have a look at like what's the cheapest one on this board. I think I saw like 5,000. That's 5,500. Okay, let's just do the currency conversion. So that's $765. Okay, so maybe that's per month. But even then, that's like a little bit. I don't really know, like, what is this a lot for China, or is that like a little bit for China? I don't even know like how to sort of judge this. They say the monthly salaries can be up to $1,700. Is that standard in like America though? But I mean, like, I guess these people are working like 75-hour work weeks, and so yeah, I think this is probably not standard. I think if you're working 75-hour weeks, maybe you'd sort of expect to be paid a little bit more than that.
我们在外面租这个的话，基本上都差不多就有1.2万的包月的。
那个纸匠有1.2万。
你看他这个才写个1万到1.3万，然后你看他凭这写的那么高，你看就这个写的就不靠谱啊。
Oh wait, so I think what happens is that this is sort of like the estimated sort of like monthly rate that you would earn, but in reality it's just sort of based on how many sort of things that you can sew per hour, like how quickly you can do it. So that means if you don't meet the quota for how many like pieces of clothes you can sew for the month, then you don't actually get paid this amount. So realistically, people are probably only getting paid like maybe like $500 to $600 a month.
Just based on what he has experienced, the actual pay rates might be lower than stated.
都有8500左右，他才7000到8500。
I also documented the working environments, which range from large factories to small family-run workshops.
I mean, I think this is like the sort of stereotypical like image that you get like shown on Google Images if you search up like sweatshop or like factory worker. I mean, there's just clothes everywhere, very messy. Yeah, like it's pretty bad working like sort of condition. But like the thing is, it doesn't look like insanely inhumane. Like it doesn't look inhumane to the point where it's like I'm sort of questioning like what I'm looking at. Because we have like a sewing desk over here. We have like, you know, she has enough space. I assume we have air conditioning and stuff, but it's still pretty bad. And so if this is what it is now after they've sort of increased their ethicalities, I wonder what it looked like, you know, 2 years ago or like 3 years ago, back before they actually did ethical stuff.
To be honest, these conditions may not seem pleasant, but they represent the industry standard for garment manufacturing in China. To better understand suppliers and worker compensation structures, I interviewed a factory owner in Dongguan, China, a personal connection who had previously been approached by Shein.
哇，一年見一次咪問我，
所以你们也没有做Shein，
沒有做，
他们也没有找你做。
有朋友介紹，但是我沒做。但是那個叫做Shein的話，它快返，它單量大，還要那個其實利潤很少，因為我只有3到5塊的利潤。如果是我自己做的，像我們這種做3到5塊就虧死了。
So basically, Shein will underpay their suppliers in order to sort of get like a really, really, really thin profit margin. So they pay 40 cents per item, so like per clothing. My T-shirt that I spent $20 on, this costs 41 cents to make.
就它的價格就是在
Bro, 68 cents profit per item? Bro, what? So how many items would you even need to sell per day? That's less than $1 profit per piece of clothes.
就是它所有的東西都打到底的，就是給工人多少。
对，就是他給工人的單價也是很低。
對，他給工人的單價基本上是後整，就是比如說給工人多少錢就多少錢，就基本上沒有太多多餘的那種。所以沒什麼利潤空間。
了解。
It fits my impression that Shein pushes for the lowest possible prices during negotiation to maintain its competitive edge. Because competition in the Chinese market is harsh, suppliers have little choice but to do what Shein requested to stay in business. But to do what Shein in the Chinese market is harsh. Suppliers have little choice but to do what Shein requested to stay in business.
I am at a village
again today, and I want to pretend to be someone who is looking for a job and see if I can talk to anyone who actually work in the industry to get some first-hand information of how they feel about working in Shein's supply chain.
This is a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
But just to know that, like any other industry, wages in the garment manufacturing industry are based on different rules and skills required to perform the task.
Bro, look at that sweatshop. So this is like the small manufacturing thing without like the sort of rows of like the sewing machines and stuff. I mean, this is definitely like not optimal. I mean, at least we don't see any kids. I mean, at least like the good thing is that we haven't seen any children working in any of these sweatshops. It just looks like hardworking parents just trying to like make a living for their sort of family. But it's so messy that you can't even figure out what is going on. Like, is this a sewing machine or is this like a coffee machine or something?
那个做计件是多少钱？4毛钱一件。
Whoa. 5 cents per piece. What? Well, I mean, I guess it's thread trimmers, so you're just sort of like cutting like the end of like the thread, I think. But still, that's 5 cents per piece. So you have to do 20 trims in order to earn $1. And then how long will it take you to do like 20 thingies? How much would you make per day if you're just doing 5 cents per thread trim? What even is a thread trimmer? Oh no, I think it's a little bit harder. Oh, so I think you go through every single thread on the actual garment, and that's it. You just trim. So it's like a razor. It's sort of like a beard shaver, but for loose threads. That, bro, look how long it's taking them. That's taking at least 30 seconds per thing. So that's 5 cents per 30 seconds. That means it's 10 cents per minute. And then that means it's $6 per hour. Wait, minimum wage in America is $7 per hour? That's almost the same rate as this like thread trimmer in China. This person's getting paid $6 per hour. And then this person's getting paid $7 per hour. And then meanwhile in Australia, $24 per hour is minimum wage. So that's why it's so hard to set up a sweatshop in Australia. Unless you know the right people who have the right contacts. I mean, of course, I don't have those contacts, but like, okay, anyways, let's just continue.
你好，我想问一下，这边工作真的是有1万多工资这么高吗？
网上催叫那个整个店高一点。
什么？一般5、6千，不是说都有1万多吗？
那你做什么工种的呀
？OK，要不要加班呢？
要。
这边就说有1万多，我们就想来看看。
那有是有，
但要加班是不是？
可能要赚10几个小时吧。
10几个小时才有1万多。主管有吧？就是
8、9千吧。
8、9千。我刚看外面招聘写16000哎。
什么叫什么？很少的，1万多的。
3、400是日结吗？不是
长工。
长工，但也是计件是吧？有没有底薪啊？
哪有什么底薪啊？
我刚
妈的加班费都没有，
加班费都没有。
没有。
他不是计件吗？
是计件啊，没加班费啊。
计件怎么会有加班费？
对啊，就是你做多少件，
不是自愿，也有的时候也是强迫。不加也得加，要错。
他为什么要抢？哦，要赶出那个出单。
Wait, so all the sort of job application, the salaries, it's all a lie. It's just false advertising, and you don't even get paid overtime. But sometimes you're mandated to actually like work overtime.
This worker shared that his shift runs from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
14
with
hours
breaks for lunch and dinner. These hours seem typical in the Shein village. After a quick dinner, my friend and I returned to film more.
Yeah, 8:30 p.m.
manufacturers, both large and small, were still operating at the time.
It's 24/7? Wait, they should be at home. A 14-hour shift. Let's just assume that they've been here since 8 a.m. in the morning. That would be... Actually, wait, no. Is that 14 hours yet? No. So that would be a 12. So this is the 12-hour mark. So these people have been working for 12 hours non-stop. I think this one could be like a family-run business. Like the son, the older brother, and then the dad over here. But at least we haven't seen any children, although I assume, or maybe I hope not, that like these people when they were younger kids, they could have been working on this in the family factory. Damn.
As I film this video, I feel very conflicted. Based on Shein's website, workers in the supply chain on average earn more than the average wage in private sector. But Shein does not disclose how these samples are collected without knowing how many hours they work. It is hard to tell if these numbers are competitive. Based on my conversations with people in the industry, observations of job openings, and visit at the clothing manufacturing market in the city, I would say pay rates in Shein's extensive supply chain is roughly the industry average, not significantly above.
I mean, especially since like the job board is inaccurate. Like they're saying that they pay $1,000 per month, but then everyone's saying that like there's no way that like that's actually legit. Let me see if I can find one of these suppliers. Okay, so this is their website, bro. Bro, this is what they have on the Shein website. This is what the factories look like. Look how clean they look. This is the future. This looks nothing like it. So Shein says this is what their suppliers look like, and then this is what it looks like in reality. Oh my, what is this? Bro, upgraded canteen? They have a ping pong table as well? Renovated accommodation for workers? Bro, this... Where are they getting this? This is like a single factory. They probably just staged this factory. This factory might not even exist. Bro, modern slavery and human trafficking. Suppliers and their subcontractors, suppliers may never traffic, recruit, transport, harbor, transport, or receive person through force, threats, coercion. Bro, why is that a term in the supplier responsibility standards? Prison labor? What is this? All overtime shall be voluntary. Suppliers shall ensure that all employees have the right to refuse overtime. Under no circumstances shall suppliers impose any punitive measures on employees who refuse to work overtime. Wait, but then why do people still work overtime in these things if they can like refuse it? And so I assume what is happening is that the suppliers, they aren't agreeing with it. Like they're saying, yeah, we don't punish our people for not working overtime, but then they do it. I think they do punish their people for not working overtime. Okay, so it looks like Shein, they do have standards, but then the issue is that like whether they're sort of monitoring and like managing whether these suppliers are actually like abiding by the rules. This is the future of manufacturing at Shein.
In order to earn the above average income,
Shein workers shared her pay slip. She earns $1,300 a month. Oh, really?
you would need to take extra shifts and sometimes under high pressure conditions I have seen Shein's worker describe on Chinese social media.
Oh, what?
Behind this phenomenon,
Wait, so they literally have to run in order to pack everything on time and like get all the orders out on time. 20 to 30,000 steps a day with blistered feet?
Behind this phenomenon lies Shein's need to meet the demands of its rapid product turnover and tight deadlines, leading the company to turn a blind eye to this labor practice. China's massive population provides a continuous supply of low-cost labor for labor-intensive industry, something Shein has capitalized on. Of course, we hope that every factory worker can work in better conditions, receive fair wages, and have reasonable working hours. However, in the fierce competition of the market, they may not have better alternatives. The consumer demand for low-cost fast fashion, Shein's need for an agile supply chain, and local government's pursuit of economic growth together create the environment in which this phenomenon persists. I feel conflicted. I see the shadow of exploitation. But this might not just be a Shein issue. This might also be the hidden shadow behind the success of China's manufacturing boom.
Okay, so here's the issue, okay? So I think, so Shein, they do have like standards and stuff. Like, so they wrote this thing in 2023. They have a whole rule book with like how the suppliers have to sort of like behave and all that stuff. And then there's also like a code of conduct. Employees must be over 16 years old. Okay, wait, so that means they can hire 17? If the supplier employs someone who is over 16 but under 18, then they should not require them to engage in any form of work that is harmful to the body. Wait, so that means you can get 18-year-olds and above to do work that is harmful to the body? The supplier partner shall arrange working hours reasonably. Okay, I guess there's no strict requirement here. It's a bit vague. Minimize impact on the environment. Okay, that's very vague as well. I'm starting to realize a lot of the code of conduct things are very, very, very vague, to the point where it would be pretty easy if you're a sweatshop to sort of like not comply with this. For example, minimize impact on the environment. Okay, what do you mean by minimize? The partner shall adopt reasonable measures to reduce or mitigate negative impact of their operations on the environment. Bro, what do you mean by reasonable measures? Like, what exactly does that mean? But here they have prohibition of child labor. So a child is anyone under the age of 15. Wait, so that means you can hire a 16? If child labor is found, he shall be stopped and removed from the workplace immediately. Necessary support and action shall be taken to ensure the safety of the child. There's nothing else. There's no legal sort of repercussions for the factory if there is a child that's found in the factory. Okay, that's a bit interesting. Suppliers should pay at least legal minimum wage. Okay, so here's the issue. Like, they are advertising on the job boards like the minimum wage, but I don't know whether anyone is like actually earning that much. Suppliers shall compensate employees for overtime hours at the legal premium rate. Wait, this doesn't make sense because earlier I read somewhere about the overtime thingy. Voluntary overtime. All overtime shall be voluntary. Oh, wait, so it's voluntary, but if you do decide to work overtime, then you must be paid overtime. But then these people in the video, they were saying they weren't getting paid overtime, that no one gets paid overtime. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the main issue is that like it's very hard for Shein to sort of control and sort of watch over all of these suppliers. Like, they do have like the rules here. Like, I think like it's good that they do have rules, although some of them are extremely vague. But I guess maybe a solution would be to have people at Shein go and audit all of the sort of suppliers and the manufacturers just to make sure that everyone in all the factories are following these rules. But I'm sure they already have them. Like, I'm sure they have them, but I guess like the issue is that everyone just turns a blind eye. The fact that I got a Shein ad on this video is diabolical, bro. That is okay. That is a little bit insane.